Yes, okay, thank you. If a picture paints a thousand words, a photo reveals a thousand tales. In the following photos, I hope to share the many hidden stories in them. They are priceless gems that we should take note of. I welcome all of you to the historic state of Malacca, and with this 1809 map by Lajay, it shows Malacca as the name of the peninsula, including Singapore. Can I have the next slide, please? The importance of Malacca as is the first state where Malayan independence was announced on the 20th of February 1956. I included this because I would like to say Selamat Hari Merdeka to everybody here. Before I start, I would like to thank our host, the KL Photo Festival, the Canossian Sisters in Malacca for the kindness of the loan of the archive photos, my teammates and friends who have helped me with information, etc. Next slide, please. So it all started with uh, St. Magdalene of Canossa. I'm honored to be part of this team and I hope to share about the sound education given and the attributes of the Canossian mission, which started with the vision of an Italian heiress, Magdalene of Canossa, who founded the Canossian Daughters of Charity. Next, please. In 1860, this religious order traveled to the Far East. The mission is to address the needs of the poor, abandoned, care for the sick, bringing education to society. So here you can see the Canossian missions all around the world. Next, please. The Diocese of Macau is also known as Portuguese Mission. The Bishop of Macau appreciated the Canossian Institute, and this led to the formation of Portuguese missions in Singapore and Malacca. Next, please. Under the wing of the Portuguese missions, we have St. Joseph's Church in Singapore. Next, please. And St. Peter's Church in Malacca. Mother Teresa Rosie of St. Anthony's Convent, which is the next slide, Singapore, accompanied four sisters to Malacca to found a new convent there. Next slide, please. This is the 1956 building, Sacred Heart Convent, which started in Tranqueira in 1905 under the Portuguese mission as Portuguese Girls' School. When I was in school in the 1960s, there were two mission schools on Bandar Hilay. One is the Portuguese convent, which is this one that you see, and the other one is known as the French convent, which is the convent of the Holy Infant Jesus. Next slide, please. To show you the location of Sacred Heart Convent on this map, and also the orange dot in the middle left is where the memorial is, and it's just a shout away from our school. So whenever there's Medica celebrations, the school sisters will hear about it. Thank you. Next, please. This is the place of the first lodgings of the sisters in the early 1900s. Here we have Sister Elizabeth Chan showing where the school was. And it was a walk for the sisters and the boarders to go to the school proper in Tranqueira. Can I have the next one, please? This is the Tranqueira school, and in the sweltering heat or rain, the sisters and the boarders will have to walk to this school 3 kilometers away. In this photo, you will notice students from different races and age groups. The sisters' habit, which identify them as the Canossian sister, which is the same habit that Magdalene of Canossa wore. And this was called the Tranqueira Portuguese Girls' School. In 1906, the report to the Bishop of Macau was that the results of the first batch of 50 students are excellent. Can I have the next slide? This is the chapel of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which was built in circa 1860 to serve the spiritual needs of the community on Tranqueira. Next, please. In 1907, the Canossian sisters moved to a Dutch house in Bandar Hilir, which was more spacious and were able to take in more orphans and boarders. Next, please. Here we see the first chapel for the Bandar Hilir Convent. Next, please. The convent also has a special grotto, completed and blessed in 1923. The sisters recounted that it was built by sailors. If we want to see the uniqueness of this grotto, it will be in the next slide. Here you can see that the construction material for this grotto comprises of tropical corals, which possibly was found uh, since the Bandar Hilir Convent is just in front of the sea. Next slide, please. Soon the number of boarders went up, and a new dormitory was built for them in 1919. So this is part of the earlier Dutch house in Bandar Hilir. And next, please. This photo shows a group of the boarders, the religious order, the domestic help, known as the amas or the marches. So we have a glimpse into the past, how they look like, what they wear, and what the buildings were. Next, please. The young ladies were taught domestic skills such as cooking, overseen by a marche here. A peek into the dress styles of the era, a local wear popularly known as sarong kebaya and baju panjang. The lady on the right is wearing sarong, which is the batik skirt, and kebaya is the top that she's wearing. The one on the left was probably wearing a baju panjang, and she has actually made it shorter so that it's more comfortable for cooking, and tied it around her waist. In the next slide, you will see more of the baju panjang. So most of the girls here are wearing baju panjang, surrounded by fruit trees. That's what you can see in this picture. Within their compound and beyond, a sister watches over the young ladies in baju panjang or long dress. And here we can see them harvesting coconuts. The next, please. The boarders learn to do their own laundry, as was highlighted also by my friend Karen. Under the supervision of a sister, you can see sister at the leftmost pillar. She's almost hidden by it. Wash laundry can be seen to be hung on the clothesline behind them. Various dress styles and can we go back? Thank you. Various dress styles and galvanized iron wash tubs can be seen. The big pot is still kept in the school, as Sister Retta confirms. So we don't use anymore these galvanized tubs because now everything is plastic. Thank you. Next slide, please. The sisters and boarders prepared and kept for the church linens and the sacred vestments of the church and for the priests. Boarders are trained in this skill, which will augur well for them in the future. In this picture, you can see the twin doors at the arch doorway and the statue of Our Lady of Sorrows on the right. Thank you. Next, please. This photo serves as a record for the growth of the Bandar Hilir Convent. On the right was the dormitory, and left shows the block of classrooms. With the completion of this block in 1930, the Tranqueira Portuguese Girls' School was closed. So now the sisters and the boarders needn't walk the distance to go to school. Next, please. A 1930s photo of the Canossian sisters, the teachers, and the boarders as identified by their clothes. Next, please. Reverend Father Corrado accompanied the new Bishop of Macau in his first visit to Malacca and the entourage was welcomed to a performance by the girls of the Portuguese convent. This was on the 6th of March in 1923. This is taken in, that was taken in front of the St. Peter's Church. And this one, since the Malacca Portuguese mission was started by the Singapore Mission, visits by the Mother Superior, as seen in this photo, from Singapore, from the Singapore Portuguese Convent in 1936 was still practiced. Next, please. The new chapel, which was blessed by the Bishop of Macau in 1937, sees the nun during Mass. The lovely lace tabernacle dressing possibly is the handiwork by the convent nuns and the boarders. Next, please. This is a photo of a very important person. He is Reverend Father Alvaro Martins Corrado. He was the superior of the Portuguese missions in Malacca from 1909. Reverend Father was instrumental in the development of the Portuguese convent. Here I would like to invite Sister to say something about the Reverend Father.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks, Joe, for letting me to share some of my experience. Actually, in our convent, we have this chronicle from 1905. It was written. So, when I was turning the pages, somewhere I saw about 15 to 20 pages written by the sister regarding the Japanese war, World War. And then when I was reading that, I saw the sisters stating they are very fond of Father Corvado. And then they realized for some time he was not there. They were not able to meet him. And they were wondering what is happening to him. But then when they saw at our main entrance, which the building that you saw just now, our convent, at the main entrance, there were two soldiers standing around, and these sisters gently approached them, and they were standing there taking photo together with the sisters. After that, the sisters approached and asked if they can go to the church to attend Easter Mass. So actually, in their mind, to go for Easter Mass is to also hope to see Father Corvado. And then they were able to visit him for a short while. Then after some time again they are unable to get in touch with him. And sadly later they received the news that he was tortured and dead. Thank you. I let Joe continue.
Thank you, Sister, for the short story. Very interesting. Next, can I have the next one? Thank you. In 1943, as Sister has just said, what happened to him? He was arrested and taken by the Japanese army to Singapore, where he died in prison in 1944. Next slide, please. In 1948, his body was reburied in Malacca. So the Japanese did not allow for him to settle burial at the time. Next slide, please. As was shared by Karen just now, this is the facade of Sacred Heart Convent since 1956. This convent that I attended was also known during my time as the Portuguese convent in Bandar Hile. And when this part of the convent was completed, it housed the boarders, the orphans, and also there was a kindergarten there. Next, please. In 1950, Canossa Convent was built in the Portuguese settlement to cater for the needs of the children in the settlement. Next, please. Here we see a fisherman selling his catch of small shrimps, rago. The fisherman Mr. Denko used to tell me that the sea is our bank. When we do not have money, we just need to go to the sea. Next, please. Here is what my friend Belinda told me. This is called a langian, and it's a type of net for catching the grago that we saw in the previous slide. The gragos are tiny little shrimps which were made for this very important piece of shrimp paste called belacan, and it's something that is in our daily diet that we need to have, called sambal belacan. Next, please. The fishermen in the Portuguese settlement coming in with their catch. As you can see, one of them is holding the net. Next, please. This is the initial style of the homes in the settlement in the 1930s. And you can see that the roof very prominently is the thatched roofs, or we call the atap roofs. And next, please. To give you a glimpse of the Portuguese settlement way back then, here we have Santa Claus giving out gifts. So the little girl in white with her hand outstretched to Santa Claus, we can see the happiness in her face because she was receiving a gift. And the lady and the little girl sitting next to her in a darker dress, her face is, expecting, like she's expecting to receive a gift. Next, please. In the 1960s, some nuns from other states came for a retreat, and here our Malacca Canossa nuns are bidding them farewell. And what we can see is that the nuns keep everything in good order. So in this picture, you can actually see the nuns' reflection shining on the bus Scholar of Sacred Heart Convent Malacca, which means that it's very nicely polished and waxed. Next, please. The following few slides will show you the sisters' interaction with the community. Here we have Sister Josephine and Sister, what's her name? Sorry, and sitting down is Sister Mary Lau. So the children feel very comfortable with the nuns there, as you can see. Next, please. And here there's another little gathering of the sisters with the children of the Portuguese settlement. And lastly, yes, the care and love of the sister continues until this day in the Portuguese miniature convents. I thank all the sisters who have nurtured me to whom I am today. Thank you for listening in, everybody. Good night.